Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Statutory Licensing Subcommittee this afternoon. First of all, I must warn you that the meeting is recorded live and we're already on record. Just to remind you that at the end of the meeting, at the end of proceedings, if you could just remain seated for about 30 seconds till the recording is finished. So, right, my name is David Brown, Councillor David Brown, and I'm chairing the meeting this afternoon. I mentioned the meeting is broadcast live through YouTube. However, before we commence the formal business, I would like to cover some housekeeping issues, which is as follows. Can I ask everyone to switch off or make silent their mobile phones, please? And secondly, these microphones, please leave the microphones switched off unless you're invited to speak. When you've spoken, please make sure you switch off the microphones again. The reason being there's interference between one and another microphone and the most horrible screeches and screams come out onto the recording. So, moving on to the agenda proper. The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Committee officer.
Chair, we have no apologies for absence.
Thank you. Item 2, substitute members. Committee officer.
No substitute members, Chair.
Fine. Item 3 is declarations of interest. So, members, council members, have you any declarations of interest on the item today? No declarations of interest. We now move on to item 4, which is the application to vary a premises licence in respect of R&B convenience store, Broom Lane, Summerwin. Can I ask everyone to introduce themselves, and in this particular order? I'll start with, on my immediate left,
Councillor David Sutton-Lloyd, Aycliffe North and Midridge. Oh, sorry. Councillor David Sutton-Lloyd, Aycliffe North and Midridge.
Councillor Carol Hampson, Craghead and Southmoor.
Councillor Alison Beattie, Pelton Division.
Councillor Emma Waldock, Sacriston Division.
Right, thank you, members. I'll go now in the clockwise direction from my point of view. Starting at the far left here, we've got
Jill Errington, Committee Officer.
Jill Proud, Legal Advisor this afternoon.
Helen Johnson, Licensing Officer.
Thank you. In the front, thank you.
And the applicant. Press the green button.
Anne Kipling, here with Mr. Jathan Arachi.
Thank you. And at the
Susan Howe, representing Brandon and Byshottles Parish Council.
Thank you very much. As far as the applicant is concerned, forgive me, but do you mind if we refer to you as the applicant all the time, apart from that complicated name that you've got? Thank you, but I just want to make it clear, can we use the applicant as opposed to that long name?
Yes. Just say yes.
Yes.
Right, thanks so much. Now, the next point I would like to raise is the fact that we've got 5 members at the top here, but the subcommittee is officially only made of 3. So I'll just ask the legal officer to explain the situation to end up with 3 members.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a statutory licensing hearing in accordance with the Licensing Act of 2003. That Act stipulates that only 3 members can sit and make the decision today. However, that doesn't mean that more members can sit on the panel. The reason we do that is there is always a risk that a conflict could arise during the hearing itself, or that someone takes ill. If we didn't have additional members, then that could cause a problem and the hearing would have to be rerun at a later date. When we get to the end of the hearing, I will ask the Chair to announce which members will be sitting to make the decision, and the other 2 members will leave. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I will now proceed carefully through the procedure of this particular hearing. And the first item that we need to listen to is the Licensing Officer's report. So Helen, please give us your report.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. So this is an application to vary an existing premises licence, which is already in place for R&B Convenience Store, Broom Lane, Ushamoor. Plan showing the location of the premises is attached to Appendix 2 at page 10. The application was received, which I'm just trying to see when it was received there. I've just lost a date. Received on the 15th of December. Was subject to a 28-day public consultation, which involved public notice on the premises, advert within the local newspaper, advertised on our website, and obviously it was sent to all the responsible authorities as well. That ended on the 12th of January, and you'll see the application at pages 12 to 28 at Appendix 3. So the application requests to increase the permitted hours for sale of alcohol for consumption off the premises to 5:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. Monday to Sunday. At the moment, the current premises licence allows sale of alcohol off the premises from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. Monday to Sunday. So it's increasing at the start of permitted hours for them 1.5 additional hours. The end time is remaining the same. You'll see in Appendix 4, pages 35 and 36, that following mediation with Durham Constabulary, the applicant added some additional conditions to the application. But apart from that, after that, Durham Constabulary were okay and had no further comments. During the consultation period, we did receive 1 representation opposing the application. You'll see that at Appendix 5, page 38, from Brandon and Byshottles Parish Council. During the consultation period, Appendix 6, pages 40 to 44, we received no comments, responses from the Fire Authority, Public Health, Environmental Health, Durham Constabulary and the Durham Safeguarding Children Partnership. Options available for members today is to either grant the variation of the licence subject to conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule accompanying the application and the mandatory conditions set out within the Act, grant the variation of the licence subject to modified conditions to that of the operating schedule where the committee considers it appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and the mandatory conditions set out within the Act, to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, to refuse to specify a person on the licence as a designated premises supervisor, or lastly, reject the application to vary the licence. Thank you, Chair, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Helen. As the officer has offered, it's now any questions about what we've heard up to now. So have we got any questions from the objecting? No questions? Have we got any questions from the applicant from what we've heard up to now?
No questions.
All right. Now it's members. Any questions from the members? I just have one for clarification, please. I've read through the existing licence and I know the times and the opening hours of the premises was 6 till 2300 hours. Alcohol is 7 to 2300 hours. Now, on the application, it was the request to have the variation for the opening hours of the shop. But I noticed the opening hours on the application was 5:30 in the morning to 2300 hours. And likewise, if this application is granted, it's going to be 5:30 to 2300 hours. So I just wondered what the disparity was between the existing application and hours and what the request is for.
So at the moment, the existing premises licence only allows sale of alcohol from 7 o'clock in the morning. A shop of such as this nature, what you find is that they will open that a little bit earlier for bread, milk, newspapers, things such as that. But the licence in this respect for the sale of alcohol can't commence until 7 o'clock. And that's what we're really interested in about when that is going to start. Now, I believe for the variation application, the applicant has brought that in line to 5:30. So he wants the sale of alcohol to start at 5:30, the same time as he opens. Opening hours as well, it's good to note. What you found is when they first converted the licences over, like a premises would only be open, say, 10 till 10, but they might have applied for a 24-hour licence, but they'll not necessarily use it. They'll just have it for that occasion where they might want to be open till that little bit later. The opening hours in licences aren't really that enforceable. It's about the timings of a licensable activity, and in this case it's the sale of alcohol hours, and that's where what we would enforce.
Thank you. So the clarification is it's a variation to 5:30 till 11 at night.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you. Have we any questions from the legal officer?
No, I've no questions, Chair. I was just going to pick up on what Mrs Johnson outlined to you. The opening hours are not enforceable, and even if the licence, even if you decided, or whatever the decision is today, if you decided to grant or refuse the application, he could still open the premises from 5:30 because that isn't a licensable activity. The only thing you were considering is the actual sale of the alcohol from the 5:30. But if that wasn't granted today, he would still be allowed to open at 5:30 to sell other items, and then the licensing activity would kick in at the time that is granted or refused. If it's refused, then it would just remain at 7 a.m. Does that clarify?
Yes, thank you very much. That clarifies it. It was a little bit of a grey area, but at least it's confirmed. We now move on to the objectors, and we're prepared now to listen to the objectors' representation.
Thank you, Chair. I'm here today representing Brandon and Byshottles Parish Council. I'm the clerk. This objection was made by Ushamuwa Ward councillors. They would like to object to the licence with regards to the following: prevention of crime and disorder and prevention of public nuisance. The Parish Council does not feel that alcohol sales from 5:30 a.m. is appropriate. The business of the licensed premises are located whereby traffic and visitors border the route of nearby residents and businesses, consequently resulting in the above. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the licensing officer from that objections? Fine. Questions from members?
No.
We haven't got any questions from members then. I haven't got any questions. The legal officer now, any questions from that representation?
I don't have any questions, Chair, but the applicant may have. I don't know if we've asked if the applicant had any questions of the objector.
Forgive me, I omitted that line. Apologies, applicant. Have you any questions from the objectors?
No, sir. No questions, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contribution is from the applicant. So it's your turn now to put your case forward, and we hear everything you've got to say.
No?
No.
You want to leave it?
Yeah. Up to you.
Would it assist, why do you want this application? Why do you want to start selling alcohol from 5:30 in the morning? At the moment, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Why have you applied for the variation?
Because my shop is open 5:30. Customers come in to buy papers and like that, prepare it for the paper rounds and everything. Then same time in asking the alcohol for they don't want to come second time for the again shop like that, local customers. Then I request for that. And also Coop recently opened 6 o'clock, before 7 o'clock. Now they start to sell alcohol straight away 6 o'clock.
And then we have another one.
Yeah, it's another shop is over there, middle shop. I think they don't have premises license even. They sell alcohol 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock like that. They deliver and they're preparing for that one.
Okay, if I can. So the main reason is because he's already open earlier at 5:30, doing the papers, everything like that, and people come in, local, wanting to buy alcohol, and obviously he's explained that he can't sell until 7 o'clock in the morning at the moment, because he's already got, that's his licence at the moment. So instead of them coming back later on, the reason is to have the variation, so he's able to sell the alcohol at 5:30. The other reason is there's a local co-op, which is open from 6 o'clock, and they're allowed to sell the alcohol. I can check it out, Chair, if you need me to. And also, what concerned me was, you said there was another shop.
Open recently.
Did you say you don't think they have a premises
Its
license?
premises license is our name in there. That shop belong to us.
All right.
Yeah, that's premises license. I request to transfer to my different shop.
Right.
But they don't have premises license for their names, but they sell alcohol.
Right. I can take details of that and I can have a look at that. So yeah, the main reason is because he's open then, he's getting requests to sell alcohol then, but he can't. And the local nearby shops are open at that time where they're selling alcohol. Reason for the variation is to bring it in line with his opening hours.
Thank you very much for that intervention there. I'm sure at the back of our minds we thought that was the idea, but we just like it to be confirmed so the committee can discuss it in true form, and again with the opposition, as long as everybody gets to say what they've got to say. So that's all you wish to add at the moment, is it, applicant? Nothing further. You're happy with what we've got to do so far, or where we are? Okay. So, obviously, the licensing officers had their say. Anything from the objector, from what you've heard from the applicant?
Thank you, Chair. No further objections.
Now then, members, any further questions?
Thank you. It's a question for the licensing officer. Helen, can I just confirm, we've had no objections from fire, police or public health, and we haven't had any objections from the locally elected member?
No, we just got the one objection from the parish council.
Any other member got a question?
It's answered.
Fine. And finally on this section, Any further questions from the legal officer?
Thank you, Chair. Mr Lokagamish, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Sorry, I don't know if I just have one question, please. If the licence, or irrespective of what happens today, is your premises open from 5:30 in the morning? So if customers are coming and going at 5:30, even if the licence isn't granted, you're still going to have customers at the shop. So because I think one of the objections was in relation to public nuisance. So the members need to be aware that in any event the premises will be open from 5:30. Yes.
Preparing papers, same time coming to buy the papers and...
Yes, so you will have customers irrespective. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I have no further questions.
Thank you. And now just to go through the section which is the final chance to address. So, licensing officer, anything further to add?
Nothing further, Chair. Just obviously the options are outlined in the report.
Back to the objector now. Have you any final comments to make from what you've heard up to now?
No, Chair, no further comments. Thank you.
And finally, the applicant, you're quite happy with what you've heard up to now and you've had a fair hearing? And finally, any comments from the legal officer?
Chair, the only comment I would make is if I could ask you now, if there's nothing further for anyone else to say, if you could just agree amongst yourselves who will be retiring with you to make the decision, and then the remaining members can leave. And I understand that the decision will be the decision will be made, and then it will be informed to the applicant and the objector later today.
Thank you. Committee members who would like to retire? Two on my right are retiring. So we've got Councillor Royce, Sutton Lloyd, double barrel name, and Carol Hanson, and myself. Are you happy with that? And just the final item is an item of any other business, and I have not been notified of any other business. So at this point is the point when we would ask you all to retire for the committee to make a decision, and if you could just remain for another 30 seconds till the recording is completed. Thank you for your attendance.